r/ask Reddit. What's your biggest flex that you'll never tell anyone? In my public speaking class I had to give a speech on procrastination. I wrote the speech an hour before class. In my feedback notes I was told I had great preparation. The expert. I saw a lizard in the middle of a busy road. I bent down on the side of the road and called for it as I put my hands out and he ran straight into my arms. I carried him to safety and didn't think anything of it until I heard a stranger behind me go, "Did y'all see that shit? She's a lizard whisperer." Man, I wish there was another witness because I bet I looked cool. My lifelong best friend's mom was a lover of reptiles. She used to have a broom in the back of her Mazda to tow stubborn snapping turtles across the road and notoriously rescued countless animals. Reading this made my heart happy. I couldn't help but picture her at the side of the road cheering you on. RIP to an amazing lady that encouraged children to look beyond the scaly to see the wonderful and cheers to you for helping random critters that cross your path. Red heart. Woman in my office had a fairly long piece of TP attached to her shoe and I stepped on it and detached it from her shoe. I felt like a superhero. I still feel like a superhero about it. Bless people like you. I once had a server purposefully drop something next to our table, just so she could have an excuse to bend over and grab the toilet paper off of my shoe. I still think about her from time to time. I saw Elton John in Vegas. Red Piano Tour. During Benny and the Jets, I can whistle extremely loudly. I nailed the whistle part that is on live version of the song that plays on the radio. He smiled. I saw him live once while he unfortunately was battling a bad flu. Still sounded ducking amazing though. And at one point he turned around to throw up in a bucket behind the piano. We were in the seats sort of behind the stage. Supposed to be the cheap seats but he always turned around and acknowledged us so it was great. And just cheered as loud as we could to show support and he laughed and put his finger up to his mouth as if to say SSH. It's a secret. I can make the price of any stock go down simply by buying it. I can do that too. What if one of you buys a stock and the other shorts it? It stays flat and they lose out to inflation. Had a class where the professor was pissed that everyone did really bad on an essay and was yelling at the class. He said that aside from one person who got a 97% he was disappointed with everyone there. I had the 97%. Similar thing happened to me in an English class junior year of high school. Assigned some book, maybe To Kill a Mockingbird, and I read it like 5 times before the exam. Teacher said that he curved it to the highest score and no one had ever gotten a 100% in all his years of having the test. Just before he started passing the tests back he asked me how many times I read the book. I was shy and quiet in high school so having every eye on me sucked. But anyways he said he was impressed and I ended up getting extra credit on it because he curved it to the next highest score. I won a YouTuber's writing competition. My story got seen by 100k people which was cool. But all the other winners got a trip to VidCon for a live reading of their stories. I didn't because I don't have social media. Yes, I'm still salty about it. 7 years later. I raised $100,000 for a scholarship fund in the memory of my deceased twin brother. Since that time we've given away over 200 scholarships. I lived with my grandparents my whole life who lived in a small little house across the street from a big fancy neighborhood development. They lived in the same house for 40 years before the development. It was a very bad hill on a busy road with the neighborhood entrance at the bottom of the hill which was across the street from our house. Me and my grandpa would pull people out of wrecks all the time. Saved a bunch of lives but sadly saw over 10 people die on that hill growing up. The big fancy people in that neighborhood would always bring us food and gifts. They called my grandpa the gatekeeper. I have a no gag reflex. This will go to my grave. Married man with 3 kids. How did you find out? It was just a phase. We don't talk about that. I have enough old, valuable Magic the Gathering cards to buy a car. A new, really nice car. I don't tell anyone IRL because they're from when I was young and collected them. And my current social circle would think it's kid nerd stuff and wouldn't understand. Doesn't get me down, though. Current plan is to hold on to them until they go up enough over time to match my mortgage balance. Then use them to pay off my house. Edit. I appreciate all the comments. I currently actively keep up with the MTG market. And I'm a pretty close follower of the MTGFin and sub. As far as the makeup of the cards, RL cards, mostly from 93-94, and complete sets from Urza's block and earlier. Consider a safety deposit box. Floods, fires, mold, etc. can really kill your valuables. My debit card went through for a really large amount and the lady behind the counter had been being so smug and irritating for so long, and then she tried to deny my card because it wouldn't go through for that amount, and I asked her to just please try it. The look on her face when it went through was so satisfying. May I never make that larger purchase again. Whenever I think about telling this story, it always comes out with a "that happened" type of feel, so I have kept it to myself. Every day in junior year of high school I would eat my lunch, stand up, and toss my trash toward the wide-mouthed trash can about 25 feet away. Every day, I would miss. I would then routinely do the walk of shame to get it all thrown away. This went on until the spring. It was April or May, I forget when exactly, and I stood up and threw my trash at the can. What do you know? After a few months I made it. It was a small victory, but I did an air fist and then made eye contact with a kid who was in the marching band with me. Apparently he had watched me do this ritual every day and was ready to celebrate with me, so he began to slow clap. Then, the rest of his table clapped. Not knowing why, but it was high school, so who cared? Then the effects spread until the entire cafeteria, about 1,500 students, were giving thunderous applause, only 2 of us knowing why. I took a bow and then sat down and everyone just went back to eating their lunch like nothing happened. Because nothing really happened. It was a weird rush. The "that happened" feel of everyone clapping could definitely seem like a possibility to someone hearing the story, but let me tell you, at my high school if you were in the lunchroom and someone started clapping, nobody could know what they are clapping for and still the whole room would be clapping just for the fun of it. I never get bored, ever. It's a useful superpower when I'm stuck in certain situations. I'm never interested. I bought some then relatively worthless Apple stock because I thought I'd be able to eBay the stock certificate with the rainbow Apple logo when the company went out of business. My investment guy just thinks I'm really clever. I've not corrected him. Do you have a picture of the certificate to post? I like looking at older certificates. Not too long ago somebody posted one of Disney. Wish they still did that. I'm on level 4000 in Candy Crush. You are worse than my mom, but she's strangely proud. Paid off 40k in debt during quarantine due to no more daycare costs for 3 kids. And better paying job for the wife. Also dropped body fat from 14% to 7% using my ghetto ass home gym while everyone was complaining about the quarantine. 15. Went from having 1 family meal a week to almost daily. I don't tell anyone this obviously because there are people going through tough times, especially family and close friends, and I can empathize with that as it hasn't been completely smooth and there were some stressful moments. But I am proud of what my wife and I were able to do in a relatively short amount of time, but haven't shared any of this at the risk of alienating anyone. I beat morbid obesity, which spiraled into a violent battle with anorexia, which I also beat. I eventually went on to get into modeling, weightlifting, and more. Compare pictures of me now with pictures of me from 5 years ago, with pictures of me from 10 years ago, and they all look like completely different people. At one point I could sing along perfectly to "We Didn't Start the Fire." I still know most of the words, but I'm always so embarrassed to sing in front of other people, lol. I was quoted on some literary website one time for something I said off the cuff in an argument. I also got to play a few shows with some of my favorite bands of all time. But I'm so far removed from that music scene now that no one I know would ever care about it except for me. I'm kinda in the same boat. I produced music for like 15 years, signed to 7 different labels and have headlined shows. No one I hang out with now has any idea. I was in the grocery store and saw an older woman standing in the aisle comparing what was in her cart to what was in her wallet, obviously counting to see if she could afford everything. Based on her body language as she walked away, I could tell that the answer was no. So I took a 20 out and walked up to her and said, "Ma'am, when you were over there just a second ago this fell out of your wallet." I handed her the bill and just walked away so she wouldn't be embarrassed if she figured out I was lying. I did hear her say thank you, so I half turned and told her, "You're welcome. Have a nice night. It was only $20. but I think it made a difference to her, and that felt amazing. I can build a Lego set in less years than it gives you to do so. Every time I eat a popsicle, I bite it and chew it. It makes my teeth feel super cold and fresh. It doesn't hurt me at all. I intentionally don't step on ants just because they're cool. I secretly enjoy everyone's shock when they first meet my wife. I'm not insanely attractive. I'm a nerdy scientist. My wife is a doctor. She's funny, driven. She's smarter than me. She's 5 feet 9 inches and could very well be a model. In fact, she's been approached numerous times to move to NYC. We've known each other since 2nd grade. Started dating in college. My high school college friends are still baffled that I casually married the most attractive girl we knew in high school college. Because we both have insanely busy schedules, we can go months or years without meeting each other's co-workers. My favorite reaction from mine is "That's your wife," and I'm sure it's vice versa for her. I'm either really good at talking to people and pretty charismatic, or I'm a totally ducking buffoon who makes everyone cringe. No in between. Every day, I don't kill myself. It's like saving my own life over and over again. Me and my girlfriend created in the past a YouTube channel for kids, playing with toys using only our hands and voices. We had videos hitting 300k plus views, but we uploaded few videos, like 10 videos, because our priorities changed and we stopped. But we were still able to make several $100s from them, and the videos still generate some money today after many years. I think if we had continued with that, maybe we would be able to make a lot of money. I regret we didn't keep uploading more videos. Do you know that random, intuitive ideas you have sometimes? Pay attention to them. Your deep you is smarter than yourself sometimes. I never get fatigued or tired with my workload and can handle a lot of hours and days of work. I just try not to show because everyone expects me to do everything like that when they are all smashed or just being lazy. I'm one of those people that with minor changes to hair/facial hair I'll look like a completely different person. It'll be useful if I ever need to go on the lam. ETA. I developed the habit of carrying 4 different types of photo IDs, all with different hair and facial hairstyles because of this. I found, tracked down and caught 6 pedophiles in deep cover, each hiding for a decade or more, and turned them in. 2 I chased like scared rabbits through the woods. The last one tried to flee into a swamp. There's no money or thanks in it, but it's about all I'm really proud of. Some of my memes I created on Tumblr still float around to this day. One was featured on BuzzFeed a few years ago, not something exciting on a resume, but I still like to think about it. I got accepted into Mensa and then immediately realized I don't want to hang out with the type of people who join Mensa, so I never went through with it. I'm too embarrassed to tell anyone I took the test. Deaf person here, who wears hearing aids and relies heavily on lip reading. I get excited on the extremely rare occasions I can figure out a spoken phrase without any lip reading. It almost never happens. Or when I recognize a song I know. But there's no point in bragging because other people will just think I'm not that deaf and make less of an effort to face me speak clearly. LOL. I don't compare myself to others nearly as much as most people. I'm the reason that toucans are behind glass at the birdhouse of the Philadelphia Zoo. Beat my depression and self-harm. Feels ducking great to be free. Edit. For everyone asking how to beat it, I can't tell you in particular. It's a different journey for everyone. Some things work for others. Some things don't. Whoa. You made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.